with you, I do.
Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well enough, or at least better than I currently am. It seems that since making last week's rant video, I've unintentionally opened up the floodgates. So today's video, answering the question of
why aren't more people vegan?
I thought it could be nice, so let's all have a sit down and unpack that, shall we? And this hasn't been influenced at all by quite a horrific video currently going viral on Instagram at the moment. So, to cut to the chase here, why aren't more people vegan? Who could possibly guess? Do you think that it could possibly be things like, oh I don't know, free will maybe? Any takers? No, I thought not, given that I knew there would be somebody coming along with the argument of what you're putting these animals through. Well, how about dietary restrictions? That's always a fun one, isn't it? People having different needs that aren't completely yours. Having whole entire lives that you know nothing about. I mean, that's not even taking into account any potential eating disorders or more other complicated health and medical related issues either. Imagine that. Well, what about the state of our world? Does everyone know what a year 2020's been? Not to mention quite a few of the other years before that. I mean, between the fact that there are entire societies going down in flames, massive corporations creating 10,000 times more environmental damage in a single day alone than what 100 of us could ever hope to undo in our entire lives, between the fact that literally everything currently being marketed as supposedly attainable to us becomes more expensive and decreasing in quality and accessibility every time we hear and think about it, not to mention the fact that a lot of us are only just existing in survival mode, never mind actually living. Do you think maybe some random person shouting on the street trying to make us feel even worse than we already are just doesn't hold that much relevance to our lives? Because I've seen this absolutely horrible video on Instagram just now, and no, it wasn't one of those countless torture videos people like to make about animals for some reason, otherwise I would have never clicked into it. It was this random unassuming chick walking down the street, minding her own business here, and some loudmouth with a microphone and a video camera comes along, absolutely points it in her face, being all like,
yes, hello, we are here today, we are pressuring you on film, live, on camera. You have to do this thing because you're on film, you know. You're gonna get massive hate on it unless you do this thing with us on camera. You have to come along, we are pressuring you on film. You have to do this thing, otherwise you're gonna look like a massive bitch otherwise.
And then starts practically drilling into her over why she likes meat. Cause meat's ping, is what she replies with. Ping meaning what I can only imagine being a good thing. And then he starts going off at her like she's this great big horrible person, like she enjoys killing and tormenting animals in her spare time. Like, dude, what's actually wrong with you? The meat's dead anyway. What would you rather? It just be left lying around to rot? Because I'm telling you, honey, back when I used to work in butchery, back in the day, I remember once we were having to throw out meat that was green. Green because nobody had come through to buy it, and good old Sam I Am with his green eggs and ham was absolutely nowhere to be seen. And granted, that place was really freaking dodgy for so many reasons other than that, but like, that animal died for nothing. It's already dead. It wasn't killed out of sadism. And would you rather have to see its body lie around and wasted and rotting, or would you rather it grant the livelihood it means to live for someone who might very well need it? So then apparently, because meat being ping wasn't a good enough answer for this chick, because, you know, apparently respecting people's individuality isn't a concept worth contemplating today, she says that she enjoys eating it. And like, this poor girl, she's just trying to live her life. She's already looking beyond uncomfortable here, and it's the polite uncomfortable we girls have to box ourselves into when a creepy guy is being scary and we don't want to antagonise the situation. So this poor girl, she's got the cameras all over her. Your afternoon plans, honey? Gone. Potentially meeting up with a friend or something? Don't care, bish. This guy's just inserted himself into her life. He has done absolutely nothing that's beneficial or pleasant, or in any way, shape or form. He's just sitting here like the absolutely horrifying creature that he is, and he just starts going off about all the ghastly things he wishes that he could be able to do right now. Like, granted, he didn't go into great detail explaining it all, mind you, and the situation's already deplorable enough that we even have to frame that like it's a remotely positive quality for him. But he's sitting here going, "Ugh, I could be doing so many terrible things that I personally find enjoyable, but that doesn't mean they're right, honey." Like, bish! I shouldn't be the one here who has to tell you that you wishing you could commit heinous acts that you yourself are admitting they're terrible is a violently disturbing scenario? Like, even though you personally disagree with this poor girl's decision to eating meat, have you never stopped to consider the fact that there might be all sorts of influencing factors beyond meat's ping that you won't even ever get to hear just because you've plonked her on the spot with a whole bunch of cameras in her face? Like, surely some girls' dietary decisions shouldn't be on the same level of morality as you basically insinuating you wish that you could commit literal war crimes and get away with it unscathed. And it's not even the worst of it either. I couldn't even watch the whole video because honestly, screw this guy and screw whatever algorithm thinks that recommending this is remotely okay. So after he's basically human trafficked her over to his ring of broadcasting cameras, shame and judgment, after practically manipulating her into feeling so uncomfortable she feels like she has to go along with this hellishly twisted scheme, after basically leering at her and like divulging all this horrific information that nobody asked about his various desires to commit war crimes, this girl's understandably got nothing to say. Like, what do you even have to say in response to all that? Like, what is there that you could possibly say without greatly increasing the chances of this creep getting more aggressive towards you? Because honestly, I don't know if anyone's aware of this, but girls do shut down. We do play nice. We play it way too nice because there have been so many times where I just wish I had the strength to say what I really wanted to in that moment. But we just don't, because every time you open your mouth around a certain type of guy, there is a very high chance that he will become angry. When a guy has the audacity to come up to you and behave and say things in a certain way, and that's normal, I do not want to chance the statistics of being the next woman murdered or assaulted because creeps don't know how to take rejection. And that's not even the worst part of it either, because on top of this already nightmarish scenario, this guy decides to then prove everybody absolutely right about any and all judgments they could ever make about him, and he pulls up a screen. Right, so right here, right in front of her, without even stopping to consider that, oh wait, you don't know what this girl's been through, you don't know how she might react. He pulls up what I can only imagine is some horribly graphic murder and torture video. I wasn't waiting around because the moment I saw all those squirming bodies on the screen and heard the words, "This is a gas chamber," I was out. Like, how dare you? How dare you try and heap all this shame and trauma onto this poor girl who never asked for your interjection into her life whatsoever, and all she's trying to do is live her life, you know? You're out here scarring people on the street, absolutely getting off on the misery you're putting them through, and for what? The pig's already dead. It's already dying, and we're going to keep on dying, and if you really gave 1 ounce of a crap about what they're going through and how they're getting treated, you would be out there protesting against the slaughterhouse standards themselves. But you don't, do you? You couldn't care less, you absolute monster of a human being. You couldn't care less about the environment and the state of that creature's lives and the world around you. You sitting here with your shampooed hair and skincare that's been made out of palm oil and deforestation. I bet you couldn't even care to tell me how many species' lives you personally have threatened through the continued buying and supporting of these brands. I bet you couldn't even tell me how many children's lives have been poured into the slave labour of your latest in street fashion, whether they even got to eat today, or how much plastic, polyester and acrylic are choking the earth into the making of your clothes. Do you even know what farm those pigs were raised and mistreated on? Do you even care, beyond ruining innocent civilians' days? Do you even know what their financial statuses are? or how much more expensive and unattainable a completely vegan, cruelty-free and little to no carbon footprint life even costs to live, let alone whether it's even remotely realistic for the average person out there to try and attain. Do you even stop to give a crap about how utterly pointless it even all is? You're out there giving these girls PTSD and potentially Spartan kicking them into a self-destructive mindset, because what right do we even have to live when everything we're surrounded with is plastic and child slave labour generated? What right do we even have to our own lives when it's all stolen off the backs of poorly paid third world workers, if they're even paid at all, who can't even afford to eat? There is nothing wrong with vegans, don't get me wrong. It's a completely awesome decision. If you want to go for it, then do it. But don't you dare try and come for people who are just out there trying to live their lives when there are booming corporations and masses upon masses of CEOs who could quite literally change the entire world and then some. And then stop all this from even happening in the first place, if you even cared enough to even go after them all. But you don't, do you? You'd rather be out there traumatising innocent people for consuming products that will only be consumed by someone else once you're done ruining their will to live. I don't even know who this vegan guy is, or what the name of the account was that shared that video. I don't know how cancel culture works these days, but for me, it involves completely closing out of the app that problematic scenario and content was even broadcasted on. I hope this man's content dies. I hope his views tank, and that he loses all the false respect he's spent his time and money on trying to garner through shock value into his false performative activism. Traumatising people and flashing them with alarming content that they never consented to or wanted to see does nothing but scars and then desensitises them. It does not stop the acts from being done. It does not change the world around you. You've gone and made that person distressed and have now completely ruined whatever day they may have hoped to have just because you wanted to be an insensitive creep who doesn't care enough to respect other people's backgrounds and boundaries. Also, don't mind the art, by the way. I think it fits quite well with today's topic, though it wasn't made with the subject of veganism on my mind. It seems like there are people all over who don't stop to respect others' lives and boundaries, and you can thank quite a few of them actually for this peace their actions have brought.